Cyberpunk 2077 was a game set with unrealistic expectations. No game at this point had ever been hyped up more, maybe other than Red Dead Redemption 2. The fans hyped this game up beyond belief, to the point where it seemed like some of the crazy ones worshipped it. But also the developers did as well. They led us on to think that our choices would matter, that our life paths actually changed the story in certain ways. Well, that didn't exactly end up happening. Instead, we got a shallow RPG with fun gameplay, great music, and a good story. But what was there that could have been has been almost erased because they decided to change up the story and everything last minute. And honestly, me myself, not just counting the bugs, I'm a bit disappointed myself. Alrighty, let's get one thing out of the way first. This game is technically not bad. It is bad right now on current last-gen consoles. If you have a high-end PC or a next-gen gaming console, you're probably having fun with this game. Although those ports are very buggy as well, and it's quite frankly unacceptable. But this is my take on the game. I'm not here to just bash it. I'm here to tell you about what I enjoyed and what I didn't like about it, and how I think it could have been a little bit better. CD Projekt Red is a game company that really hasn't had a lot of reputation outside of The Witcher 3. They've had one amazing game on their belt, and people just took that as, oh, these people can't do wrong. Even the best of developers can mess up sometimes, and that's what happened here with Cyberpunk, and it's kind of sad, but underneath all of this mess, there is an actual good game. Like, it's pretty good, but it could have been better after seeing how much of the stuff was actually removed from the game. Let's start with the category and just get this one out of the way. That is bugs. Bugs are very present right now, and it is annoying for everybody. Me, I played the game through first time around. I didn't really let the bugs get in my way. I just had fun with the game and the story, and I rushed through it, and they didn't really bother me the first time. Also, quick note, don't rush through the story. Do all the side content. That's where a lot of the meat and potatoes of this game is. I bought this game knowing it was in this state, and you might be thinking, why Nathan? Why? Well, I'll give you 4 reasons. 1, I figured I can make a video on it, which is what we're doing here. 2, I just really wanted to play it. 3, I was gonna buy it eventually anyways. And 4, I just wanted to see how bad it was. And it is pretty bad. Now, I'm on my second playthrough of the game, and the bugs are really starting to wear a bit thin on me, and just seeing how everything is, it's really frustrating. Now, come here in a few days or weeks. It is currently January 3rd. The 1.7 patch, I believe, should be coming out. That will hopefully fix a lot of things for the game. And really looking forward to that, because then people might actually be able to play it how it was intended. Just to get this section out of the way, bugs, yes, they're very present. They're very annoying. I hope they get fixed. But right now, as of me playing the 1.6 version, it's nothing too immersion breaking, but it definitely can be at times. Alrighty, let's move on to the category that I have the biggest problem with, and that is the actual world of Cyberpunk 2077. In the year of 2077, you play as V, this hard-as-nails mercenary, or so you thought you could be, that is trying to make a name for his or herself, or so you thought you would. And this open world called Night City. Now, Night City in of itself is a very beautiful, detailed map. Like, I've never been more immersed in an actual city in a video game, I don't think. Like, it is totally breathtaking, even on the freaking potato graphics of the PS4. I would just walk around and take in the sights and the atmosphere of Night City, listening to the ominous hum of the music in the background, listening to the cars driving by, the people talking, and all the billboards and everything blaring on in the background. It's really immersive in that regard. And as I've heard many other reviewers talk about, the scale of the actual city is crazy, because you just look up and you see these towering giants that are these buildings, and the scale of it makes you look like an ant. And it's so cool how the open world does that. It's world building like that, or world design I should say, that makes it so immersive to walk around in the city, especially when it's raining. It is beautiful when it's raining. But this brings me to my biggest problem with it. There's not really much you can do in this open world. Now, there are plenty of other reviewers that I've watched to kind of help me give inspiration for this video, not like plagiarism, but to help kind of get my thoughts together. I've been watching a lot of stuff, and reviewers like ACG or SkillUp or Writing on Games and MrMattyPlays, all those people have great reviews on this game. Go watch them. They are way better than this video. I would totally recommend them. But one thing that I thought of myself, and I heard them bring up also, is that there's not really much to do in this open world other than the side missions and the main story. When you're playing in an open world, you want to actually have things to interact with. Think of GTA Online and its casinos, or the arcade, and you have all the stuff that you can do and interact with that makes it so much more immersive. In Cyberpunk 2077, do you want to know what the most immersive thing you can do in this world is? The only thing that really allows you to interact with the world? You can pick up people off the street. That's it. That's all you can do, really, in terms of interacting with the actual world. I'm sitting here thinking, what happened? Because even when you like go to bars and stuff to buy drinks or food, it just brings you to a menu where you buy the stuff and it gets plopped into your inventory. There are plenty of animations in the story of the game where you see your character drinking from a bottle or from a shot glass or whatever, and I'm thinking, is it really that hard to reuse those animations in like an open world environment to make it just a little bit more immersive? Little touches like that would make it so much more, well, immersive. And the fact that there's not really much you can do other than stop crimes and do side missions, that's not really open world immersion. That just feels like tasks that you have to do. I'm really hoping they add some stuff in future free DLC like they promised. Apparently there's supposed to be some free DLC coming out later or earlier at some point in this year. Don't know like which month or whatever, but I'm hoping they'll actually add stuff to the open world. Right now, as it stands, Cyberpunk's world is just devoid of much to do other than the main content of the game, which is the story. While that story is good, and while those side missions are well written, like they were in The Witcher 3, there's really not much to do. And it's kind of disappointing, in my opinion, and I hope to see this fixed in the future. Alright, it's time to talk story. Now, I'm not going to go over major spoilers or anything. I'm just going to give you the basic opening to the game. So, you're V, a mercenary who is offered a gig that could be really big for them, and gig goes wrong. You have to, the chip that you're trying to steal, it's damaged. So, you have to put it in your head, and that's the only way to save it, and that chip has Johnny Silverhand's brain on it, basically. So now you two share a body, and the plot progresses from there. That's all I can really say about the plot without spoiling it. Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of people are not going to like. I like this game more than The Witcher 3. Now, hold up. Before you go crazy off in the comments or whatever, I just want you to know this is my opinion, and everyone has differing opinions, and that's how opinions work. Now, I think The Witcher 3 overall has a better story, most likely, but I just felt like it was too bloated for me to enjoy. There are very few long games that I can play over and over, one of those being Persona, but still, I typically enjoy more short games. And I like the fact that this story is very self-contained. You can beat it relatively quickly, although it's better if you do the side missions so that you can get more choices of endings, which is very important, so keep that in mind. I just think overall this has an atmosphere that I like more, and the characters I think I can relate to maybe just a bit more, but I think Geralt was probably the better protagonist compared to V. The reason Geralt is better than V is because V's character feels a little bit disjointed sometimes. The choices you make in this game don't really matter or shape his or her character at all, which is kind of disappointing. Me personally, I enjoyed the story of this game more, but I don't want to spoil it because it is an actual fun story with cool levels and music and writing and all that jazz. Now, this is something I didn't know until after I already finished writing the script for this video. This story changed like 2 years ago mid-development that I'm aware of, when they brought in Keanu Reeves to play Johnny Silverhand. Now, if you don't know this, and I won't blame you, I didn't know this until recently, Keanu Reeves was brought in August of 2018 to talk about playing Johnny Silverhand, Alright, the E3 2018 demo that was shown that year, in the radio station in the background of the game, you can hear about how Johnny Silverhand passed in 2076, a year before the game takes place. In the revised version of this game, the current version, Johnny Silverhand died in about 2030 something, if I remember correctly. That means the story changed 2 years before it came out. 2 years before its release. Think about that. A game that's been in development since I think 2016, its story changed halfway through development. That is insane. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but it wasn't. Because of that, you can tell the story is disjointed in places, and also that's probably why the game is as buggy as it is, because they had to rework it to fit around a new story. Can you really blame the devs? They've been pressured into doing all this. Heck, they weren't even going to probably release it by December 10th, but you know, executives wanted to push it out the door. Now, one last topic I want to touch on before we move on is that if you're going into this game expecting a very deep RPG, you're not going to get that. This game's promotional material lied by basically saying every choice you make matters. You're going to shape V into whoever you want to be. That's really not true. The only, like, strong RPG thing I can think of in this game is how you build your character, and even that is a little bit wonky. Like, take for example, you want to keep this really cool pistol you found and upgrade it because you're going for a certain type of build, and it's a rare pistol, one of a kind. You want to upgrade it with crafting components. Well, most likely you won't get those crafting components until the near end of the game, which is crazy. And I'm just like, what? Who? The crafting is just, don't do it in this game. Don't do it, okay? And most of your RPG builds come down to just picking up whatever has the highest stats that you found on a corpse. And that is very frustrating. But that goes into gameplay, and, you know, this is the story section. But if you're expecting a very deep RPG out of this, it's not. I'm sad to say, but it's not. Hopefully in the future with their DLC, if they make more DLC, that they'll actually add DLC that has meaningful choices. Alright, I'm gonna let this section speak for itself, because gameplay and music just go hand in hand with each other, because golly day, both are really fun to do when the other's playing off the other. Gameplay, I'm just gonna keep this short, is punchy, a little bit wonky when it comes to melee, but overall very fun and very fluid when the frame rate isn't dipping. But other than that, enjoy this little bit of footage where just the music and the gunfights will just, it's perfect. Now, as they say in game, was that not preem? Okay, but all jokes aside, I love this game's music. And I like how there's a little bit of hints of the instruments from that they used in The Witcher 3 and with like the cyber dubstep music in there. I think that's really cool. The gameplay just it fits with it so well and I love it. You really just have to play it to experience it yourself. But other than that, we're moving on to final thoughts. Now, you might be thinking, Nathan, why did you title this My Favorite Disappointment? Well, for as much as I've ragged on about this game, I really did enjoy my time with it first go around. I was really digging the atmosphere, I was really digging the story, and I had fun with what I had. I've been waiting for this game for a while, and when I played it, I realized it's not bad. It's far from bad. But with all the technical issues, all the frame rate dipping, all the pop-in and everything, it's not good on consoles right now. And I think this will be one of my favorite games down the line. Like, I really enjoyed it. Heck, I want to play it right now, even regardless of how buggy it is. But it is still disappointing in many aspects, whether that be the world lacking in things to do, or the story being totally rewritten to fit in a star. By the way, it's none of Keanu's fault. I love that man. He's beautiful. Overall, CyberPunk 2077 is a game that had too much hype built up for it, and the devs put way too much hype up for it. But also keep this in mind. It is not their fault when the game came out. Like I said, the corporate people probably wanted to push it out for Christmas sales, even though it was unfinished. And that's just called greedy and non-consumer friendly business practices. So show the devs some love and respect because they've put hours and years of their life into this game. They've probably been forced to do crunch time, which is not fun or really good, and they need some of that love for all the effort they put into this. In concluding thoughts, I love Cyberpunk 2077, but I also get really sad and disappointed when I realize what it could have been and how much greater it probably was.